presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are the West.
Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT Hubert TV. Now at Globe Life Park in Arlington, a thunderstorm about an hour and a half ago really cooled things off, and the Rangers look to heat it back up tonight as they host the Los Angeles Angels in Game 2 of this weekend series. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Green, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us for this Saturday night of Rangers baseball. Rangers trying to get back on the winning side of things. And one of the guys they turn to, especially against these Angels, is Adrian Beltre.
They really do, Buzz. And we talk about Adrian all the time because he's such a terrific player. In the pregame show, we showed all the different ways he helps his ball club. Breaking up a double play to prolong a rally. Getting a big hit to get his team a run closer. The other thing he's done is he's played very well against the Angels. Now, he plays them a lot, being in the West Division. But no active player has done better than this against the Angels. And he doesn't have another team that he's done better than this against. 33 home runs and 119 RBIs in his career against the Angels. Another big game tonight, another one tomorrow, and hopefully he'll keep it up.
There you go, and the Rangers also have a veteran on the mound, Colby Lewis, tonight. And the Rangers have played well lately with Colby Lewis starting the game. So it'll be Colby Lewis, Adrian Beltre, and the rest of the Rangers taking on the Los Angeles Angels. We'll come back with the starting lineup for the first pitch right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. midsouthwest.com. Well, the rain has left the area. The clouds have remained, and the Rangers getting set to take the field here tonight. Before they do, let's head down that way and check in with Emily Jones. Em?
Well, Buzz, as you know, this season has not gone according to the plan for the Texas Rangers. However, whether they are in the midst of a 3-game losing skid or a guy is in the midst of an 0-for-16 streak at the plate, it is another day and another opportunity to win.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I think that, as a team, I think it just keeps building, and we just try to, keep coming together and hopefully, just try to keep it going.
Of course, Jim Adduci has not had a good fortune of late at the plate. He says he is feeling physically good. It's just a matter of putting everything together. Hopefully that will be the same for this team tonight as well, fellas.
All right, Emily, thank you. Yeah, Rangers could use a little getting of things together and have some good things happen. It's been a few days since that is the case, and Colby Lewis hoping to turn things around against the Angels, who treated him rather rudely the last time these two faced each other. Let's take a look at the lineup that Colby Lewis will face tonight. Cole Calhoun, the right fielder, leads off. Mike Trout is next. Then it's the first baseman, Albert Pujols. Josh Hamilton in left field bats cleanup. Howie Kendrick at second base. Eric Ibar is the shortstop. David Freese at third. Batting eighth, the DH, Brennan Bosch. And the catcher, Chris Iannetta, bats ninth.
And we'll look at the scouting report for Colby Lewis. He's 8-9. He's had 21 starts this year. His last 5 starts, he has a losing record, but a nice ERA of .251. In those 5 starts was a shutout in Chicago. Opponents in those 5 starts only hitting .225 against him. July 10th against the Angels, he had his worst start. We'll forget about that one. Pitched into the 3rd inning, gave up 13 runs and 13 hits. Since that time, though, he's throwing the ball very well. Hopefully he'll have a good one tuned up tonight, pay the Angels back for that start on July 10th.
Yeah, it might provide a little extra motivation.
I think it will.
I'm sure that Colby determination a little bit on the upper part of the range. Now the Ranger defense tonight, delivered to you by Brake Check. Outfield of Adduci, Martin, and Rios left, center, and right. Aaron Sebia, the start at first base. Odor and Andrews up the middle. Beltre at third. Robinson Chirinos is behind the plate with Colby Lewis on the mound. Now the Angels 5-4 winners in last night's game. That's their 8th consecutive victory over the Rangers. So the Rangers getting near historic levels against Mike Socha's club. Longest losing streak ever against the Angels. 9, and that was back in 2005-2006. So Ron Washington's club trying to snap that streak and not put a mark in the historical records for this year. Cole Calhoun was getting ready to step in. Calhoun, of course, the huge night last night. Single, double, and 3-run home run. Now a .294 average. 3 for 3 against Colby Lewis. The first pitch of the night is a little bit low for ball 1. Calhoun, a baker's dozen worth of home runs, 13 of them, 37 RBI. 1-0 pitch. Hit well to center field. Leonis Martin going back, still going back, reaches up and pulls it down.
What a catch.
What a play by Leonis Martin to start things off.
Calhoun can't believe it. He gave that a ride. We've seen the opponents do that to the Rangers on a couple of occasions in the last few weeks. Calhoun's got a little smile on his face. Martin, a beautiful play. Turned his back to the plate, fearless against the wall, jumped up on the dead run. Good concentration. And right in his glove as he hits the wall. Beautiful way to start the game.
Boy.
Right off the bat, you've got a highlight.
And that could be the one right there.
That is the one. Calhoun. He's had a lot of hits against the Rangers. That's one he thought he had.
Yeah.
He had it taken right away from him.
Well, base is empty with 1 away thanks to Leonis Martin. Mike Trout takes a strike. It's 1-1. Trout at .292, and he's in a bit of an offensive downturn right at the moment. Fouls that pitch back. Talked about it a little bit last night. Trout falling off some 15 points in the last couple of weeks. trouble at the upper part of the strike zone. And that's where we saw him earlier in the year. You go through streaks like that, and fortunately, he's in one of them right now. If you can get the ball there, right about there is good.
A 90-mile-an-hour fastball thrown right by him. Saw the fastball above the belt, giving him problems in yesterday's game as well.
See, Chirinos wants that pitch up, and he got it just up above belt high. And Trout, no contact there. So Colby, well-executed pitch to get his first strikeout. 2 gone. Here's Pujols.
And keep it up, and it helps if it's up and in, like that last pitch was.
The big first baseman takes strike 1. Pujols last night 0 for 3, although he did walk a couple of times. That's out of play. And Nick Martinez last night talking about his outing. He said he really felt he did a good job against the middle of the order, and he was right. Against Trout, Pujols, Hamilton, Kendrick, Ibar, held them in check. It was the 8, 9, and 1 hitters that got him. There's a drive to left field down the line, hit hard and gone. Pujols, a line drive home run into the first row. His 23rd of the year, and the Angels are on top, 1-0.
That was an 0-2 pitch that Colby probably didn't get exactly where he wanted it to. And Pujols, with a short, quick stroke, hit what looked like a double down the line, just kept on going right into the 6th, 330 feet away, 350 feet away. He actually threw it exactly where Chirinos' glove was up and in. So if that's where he was trying to throw it, Albert was ready for it.
Josh Hamilton waves at the first pitch and misses. This thing was a laser out there over the 354 marker. And Hamilton gets fisted and chops it foul down to Aaron Sebia. No balls and 2 strikes. Hamilton 4 strikeouts last night. 1 for 5 in the ballgame. 266 the average now for Josh Hamilton. Colby to the wind, the 0-2 pitch. Hamilton's 1 hit last night, a dying quail into left field, got it off the end of the bat. And he has been having a tough time since the All-Star break, hitting less than 230. Another 0-2. Able to lay off that slow breaking ball, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Well, Josh has hit well against his former team. Look at the success on the road for Hamilton. 281 as compared to 252 at home. High and tight, 2-2. Hamilton against the Rangers, a 343 average this year. 8 ball games he has driven in for. He's got a 304 career average against Texas. Got him swinging. Nasty breaking ball down and in. A couple of strikeouts in the inning. And a great catch by Leonard Martinez started it all off. Angels get a run on Pujols' solo home run. After a half inning, it's the Angels 1, the Rangers coming up on Fox Sports. also a home run. Now the Rangers coming to bat. Here's the Southwest Airlines Ranger batting order tonight. Shin-Soo Choo, again the designated hitter, leading off. He's followed by Elvis Andrus. And then Alex Rios. Adrian Beltre bats cleanup. Leonis Martin in center, a hot hitter of late. J.P. Arancibia, the start at first. Jim Adduci in left. Robinson Chirinos catching, hitting 8th. And Rougned Odor bats 9th and plays second base.
On the mound, Matt Shoemaker. We'll look at our Sonic scouting report. He's 10-4, having an excellent season. 13 starts, 7 relief appearances. Kind of a career minor leaguer until this year. Last 7 games, he's been great. 5-2, a 2.97 ERA. In June, he pitched one of his better games. Into the 8th inning, 8 hits and 1 run against the Rangers. His last outing was in the 19-inning game that they played against the Red Sox. He pitched the last 3 innings of that game and got the win.
Shoemaker, a 27-year-old out of Michigan, went to Eastern Michigan University. He was a non-drafted free agent, which it tells you the standing he had coming out of college. He was hooked on with the Angels and went right up the ladder. And Choo skies one to center field. Mike Trout, almost in his tracks, makes the catch. That is out number 1.
Yeah, Shoemaker was a minor league player who had 760 innings in the minor leagues. The last 2 seasons he spent in AAA, he was a combined 22 and 23 with a 5.03 ERA in 58 starts, 29 starts each year. So you'd have to say, even though Salt Lake City is definitely a hitter's ballpark, the numbers were not great, and it's hard to imagine the Angels expected this when he went to spring training. But what a shot in the arm he has been for their staff when he's been in the bullpen or when he's been in the rotation. He's been one of their better pitchers.
Yeah, that's where he started in the bullpen and then came out and got a couple of chances to start and really made the most of it. Elvis takes inside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Andrus at 272 with the average. It's a modest 4-game hitting streak coming into play tonight. Couple of home runs, 32 RBI. 1 and 2.
When you've got a team that's a contender and probably going to win 90 to 95 ball games, somewhere around in there, obviously you've got good players and a lot of them have to have their normal seasons, but you have to have a surprise here and there too, and Shoemaker is definitely one of their surprises.
Boy, that had some real good late movement to it, and Shoemaker gets strikeout number 1. 2 gone. We'll take a look at the defense behind him tonight, brought to you by Progressive. Same alignment as last night with Hamilton, Trout, and Calhoun left, center, and right. Pujols at first. Kendrick and Ibar in the middle, and David Freese at third. Chris Iannetta, the veteran catcher, handling Matt Shoemaker. 2 up, 2 away for the Rangers. Here is Alex Rios. Rios moving up a couple of spots to hit 3rd tonight. And he takes a knee-high strike, 0-1. Alex struggling a bit. That ankle giving him problems since the All-Star break, and he has just not been able to put things back together. He's down on the count now, no balls, 2 strikes. Alex is 4 for 41 in his last 12 ball games. The 0-2 pitch. Shoemaker, a very compact delivery. Gets the most out of not a whole lot of movement. Body movement. That's a bit low. 2-2. Rios 0 for his last 13 times to the plate. That covers the 5 games of this homestand. Fouled back. We'll try it again. Against the Angels, though, Rios has been very productive. 11 games, he has driven in 9 with a .325 average. 1 home run. He hasn't had a home run, though, in the last 74 games. That's a career dry spell. Check swing, and he did not go around. The appeal down to Tom Hallion, the crew chief at first. Well, the count is full. Alex trying to get aboard with 2 outs. here in the first. He'll be followed by the cleanup man, Adrian Beltre. Shoemaker with a payoff pitch. And Shoemaker, you've seen the good sinker. He'll throw that. And he also has a very good split finger pitch he uses as a changeup and a hard slider. Another 3-2. That's off the end of the bat.
He's got excellent control. He's only walked 17 batters in 90 innings. As a starter, it's even better than that. 63 and 2/3, only 9 walks, less than 2 walks per 9 innings.
Hit hard to center field. Trout able to move back into his left a bit, makes the catch, and that'll do it. Rangers out in order despite some noise off the bat of Alex Rios. We'll go to the second inning. Angels 1, Rangers nothing. Kendrick to start off this second inning. Kendrick, Ibar, and Freeze, the first 3 Angels due up. Kendrick, a .281 average with 4 home runs and 50 RBI. He takes the first pitch from Colby, low and inside for ball 1. Colby, over the years, has been able to take care of Howie Kendrick pretty well. Kendrick just 5 for 24. Left center field hit pretty well. Ducey going back. He is at the track. That ball is gone. Boy, the ball flying to left and left center. And Kendrick, with his 5th home run of the year, makes it a 2-0 Angels lead.
Well, Kendrick put a charge in that one. Cole Calhoun's got a short, quick stroke. So does Kendrick. You don't think of him as a home run hitter. That's only his 5th home run. But he gets a pitch inside part of the plate, middle of the plate. And when he gets that pitch and puts that kind of swing on it, he shows you the kind of power he's got. Drove it right into the Angel bullpen.
2 hits, 2 home runs, and now Ibar on the next pitch. Single sharply to right field. Well, Eric Ibar not even giving us a chance to talk about him. Wasting no time getting aboard.
Right off the top of the wall, I think. Something right behind the wall. 390 feet.
The 1 on. David Freeze up. Freeze a .261 average. 6 home runs, 40 driven in. Takes strike 1. Numbers for David Freese, that on-base percentage coming up along with everything else. Freese in the last couple of weeks hit a torrid hitter, 391 average. Colby a long look at first, and Freese gets one to center. This one playable. Leonis Martin will make the catch. Ibar tagging. Here comes the throw in, and no chance for Ibar to do anything. And he scampers back to first. That is out number 1, and Brennan Bosch will be next. And before Bosch comes in, let's say hello to Jim Knox. Jim?
Oh, I appreciate it, Buzz. Nice crowd here tonight. Rooting the Rangers on, right? Huh? You bet. Tonight, Community Corner. How about spending an evening with a legend? That is Pudge Rodriguez. September 6th, right here at Glove Life Park. What you do, you get pictures, you get autographs, and a lot of questions and answers. Pudge will do just that for you. September 6th, evening with a legend. To find out more, log on to TexasRangers.com/foundation. All sponsored by Capital One Bank. Buzz?
All right, Knoxy, thank you. That'll be a fun night. Pudge regaled the folks with some stories. Brennan Bosch, the DH for the second night in a row. Up there now, a 150 average. This came back to the big leagues. Been at AAA for the Angels since early in the season. Snap throw to first, and back under the tag of Aaron Sevilla is Ibar. Robinson Chirinos again showing off that gun that he has.
I think Aaron Sevilla slapped that tag right on his hand. Look at his face.
Whoa, wait.
You don't want to get tagged, don't get that far off the base.
Lewis, a belt high set, a check of first. 1 ball and 1 strike.
He got his hand. He might have got his right middle of his arm. Ah, his hand and his arm.
I think he got everything.
He got his whole arm.
Ibar's looking back at him like, what are you doing? A ball and a strike. Colby Lewis back to Bosch. And the pitch is popped foul. That's back behind the plate and into the seats. 1-2. Bosch 0 for 3 last night. Had a couple of strikeouts. He's in the midst of an 0 for 7. Was recalled from AAA Salt Lake City before last Tuesday's game. You see the numbers at Salt Lake City. He was having a very good year. 326, 22 home runs, 75 RBI. Angels needed somebody from the left side to be a part-time DH and reserve outfielder. That was Bosch. This one popped foul, and coming over to take a look, Chirinos and Beltre. That ball just backing out of reach. Bounding up the bottom of the dugout steps. Beltre, who was shaded way over toward shortstop. Had a long way to go. No way that he could get there in time. And the ball not hit high enough to allow Chirinos to get there either. Ibar at first. Angels with a 2-0 lead. A pair of solo home runs here in the early going. Colby reading the signs. The right-hander is set. And Bosch pulls one foul down the right side.
Right in our guy's area.
Yep.
Hey, got someone else bringing the glove and making a catch.
That must be a requisite in that section.
That little guy right in back of him's got a glove on. That was a pretty hot smash, too.
Yes, it was.
Boy, the big guy in the blue shirt, he might have had a broken hand if that guy didn't catch that ball, because he was going to try to catch it with his right hand.
Hopefully he was left-handed, huh?
Yeah. That evidently is a pretty popular area.
Yeah.
At least it has been the last few nights.
Colby with another 1-2 pitch. Instead goes first baseman. Drives Ibar back. We were talking last night about Brennan Bosch. He set his career highs for in this ballpark, as a matter of fact. Home runs. He had 2 in a game in July here a couple of years ago against the Rangers. Also 6 RBI in that game. That was his career high. Going the other way, fouls that off. A little bit back in 2011 when he was a member of the Tigers. Also his career best for hits. He had a 5-hit game that night. 1-2 as he was fouling off pitch after pitch against Colby. Lewis reading the signs from Chirinos. Ibar, the lead from first. And Bosch pops another one up. This one is playable. Chirinos into the on-deck circle. Now backs up a bit. Makes the catch. That is out number 2. A long at bat results finally in one put in play for the out. Chris Iannetta, the Angel catcher, now will come to the plate. Iannetta, who along with Freese and Calhoun last night formed the heart of the order for the Angels as far as doing damage. Iannetta last night was hitting 8th, or 9th I should say, and Freese was hitting 8th. And he goes after this pitch, drives it to right center. That is going to plug the gap all the way to the ball. Ibar being waved around third will score. Into second with the RBI double is Chris Iannetta. And the Angels have a 3-0 lead.
19th double for Iannetta. In fact, 6 of his last 8 hits have been doubles. He got off to a slow start average-wise, but for quite a while, 146 at bats. He's hitting almost 300. So he has really turned his season around and got a pitch down, looked like maybe on the inside half of the plate, and jumped all over it. He had a good night last night, off to a good night tonight. Angels have hit some balls hard in this game already through 9 hitters.
Well, back to the top of the order, and a guy who hit the ball hard his first time up, Cole Calhoun, with nothing to show for it. Jonas Martin ran down a drive to center field right at the wall. Calhoun takes strike 1. Calhoun with multiple hits in 5 of his last 6 games. Got Iannetta at second with 2 outs. Makes a belt high strike, 0-2. Take a look at our Ford leaderboard. American League ranks among leadoff hitters. And Cole Calhoun first in slugging percentage, second in on-base percentage and RBI, tied for second in home runs, and third with a .310 average. That is pretty solid production.
Well, I'll say.
And Cole Calhoun.
Got Trout, Pujols, Hamilton hitting behind him. All you're asking for is a leadoff hitter to get on base, and he does a lot more than that. He gets on base and he knocks in runs and can hit the ball out of the ballpark too. Better leadoff hitters in the American League right now.
And you can understand, I think, when you look at the Angels lineup, turning that lineup over. You hear about that talked about a lot, but when you get guys like Iannetta and Freese down at the bottom, hitting the ball well, and all of a sudden you got Calhoun and the other guys coming up, it's a problem all the way through. Well, Colby Lewis gets a swinging strike 3, and the Angels are gone, but they put 2 more on the board on 3 hits and lead 1. 3-0 Angels after 1.5. broadcast. That's all thanks to the good folks at AT&T. Simply use hashtag #SouthwestFanPhoto, and your photo might be selected to be aired during one of our broadcasts, the upcoming part of the season. On the ball games on Fox Sports Southwest, we will have a fan photo selection. We'll show you tonight's a little bit later on. Adrian Beltre starting off the Rangers section. Beltre taking a strike. Adrian, a 4-hit night last night, his second 4-hit night of the year. Hits it hard, but a 2-hopper into the glove of David Freese, who throws across the diamond. Well, Beltre, a hard out number 1. Now Leonis Martin.
Number 2, Leonis Martin.
Martin in the middle of a pretty good streak. He's been the hottest Ranger hitter on this homestand. Martin, a .421 average in the first 5 games.
Well, Leonis has hit in a lot of different spots in the lineup. I don't think he's hit second, third, or fourth yet. He's hit everywhere else.
Yep.
Batting 5th tonight, swinging the bat pretty well.
It's an off-speed pitch that floats in for strike 1. Martin, a 4-game hitting streak. And over that time, yeah, a .500 average with a double. 2-1. Shoemaker to the wind, back to the plate. And a fly ball to right field. Don't think he got it all. Calhoun back there just to step onto the warning track. That is out number 2. Looked like Leonis got it down just toward the end of the bat a little bit.
Yeah, it looked like a changeup, splitter. Had a good swing at it, just didn't hit the good part of the bat. Didn't need to hit all the good part of the bat. He almost hit it out anyway, and he hit it near the end of the bat. Just had to wait just a little bit longer.
No 2 gone now. JP Arancibia steps in. JP hadn't played in the last couple of days. Getting a start again at first base, and takes the first pitch outside for ball 1. Arancibia had 175 for the year. 8 home runs, 28 driven in. (2-0). Arancibia, you remember in the game a little bit less than a week ago down in Houston, a little bit more than a week ago, I should say, on Friday night, had a home run, and since then he's gone 0 for 18. Skies the next pitch to shallow right field. Ibar angling out, coming on Calhoun, still coming, and makes the catch. And that will do it. So Shoemaker's retired the first 6 Rangers he has faced tonight. We have finished 2 here in Arlington. It's the Angels 3 and the Rangers nothing.
Welcome back to Globe Life Park. This was the scene earlier today. The Fox Sports Fan Express rolling up to a rain-soaked Globe Life Park. But on hand, plenty of fine folks for Texarkana. That's right, working at table one, taking the big long bus drive down here or up here over to Arlington. How was that bus ride?
It was great.
How many hours is that bus ride?
4 hours.
4 hours, but now enjoying a Ranger game. Appreciate it, guys. Have a good time. Good to have you out here. Thank you. Bus.
No balls, 2 strikes. Colby struck him out the first time. 1-2 now. Trout 0 for his last 12 times to the plate. He is, for him, in a monumental slump at the moment. And just off the outside corner. Colby trying to paint that corner and couldn't quite do it. 2-2. Trout last night did have a sacrifice fly in the ball game. .27 home runs, 86 RBI for the young center fielder. Lewis back to him.
Good pitch.
Foul ball.
He missed that pitch last time up when he struck him out. He was tied up on that foul ball. Definitely part of the strike zone where he is not comfortable, at least not right now.
Right. And it seems like when we've seen him, even when he was hitting well, that wasn't an area that he had a particular amount of success in.
No, earlier in the year we made the same remarks.
Call strike 3. Colby going the opposite way. And we got Trout looking. Strikeout number 4.
You have a chance down there in a way if you keep pounding them up and in and make them aware of it. It's not that easy to dive out over the plate and hit the ball away. Pitch before it was up and in, and that one's down and away right in the outside corner. So that's a pretty good job of pitching. You see the ball's right at the top of the strike zone in, and he's just not ready to hit the ball down and away.
Trout rung up by Eric Cooper, the home plate umpire. 1 gone, and here's Albert Pujols with an 0-2 pitch into the seats in left field, his first time. Pujols now 23 home runs, 74 RBI. Continuing to move up the all-time list also. That is career home run number 515. 0-2. Well, Colby exactly the same place he was the first time up. See if he goes to a different location. Well, I'm going to try to go back there again. And call strike 3 this time. Pujols dealing. Larry Cooper. And Mike Sosa. Here's that pain. Sosa look. And Pujols continuing to give Larry Cooper an earful as he gets back to the dugout.
Right where the glove was on the 0-2 pitch, and Colby got the call on that one.
Well, that's 3 strikeouts in a row now for Colby Lewis. 2 away, and Josh Hamilton takes the high and outside breaking ball, 1-0. Hamilton went down swinging his first time up there.
Same pitch. That's the one he missed for strike 3 last time up.
That was the same swing he had at it, too.
Exactly.
Started to turn on it and thought better of it, almost screwed himself into the ground.
Well, you can tell Josh is in between right now. Just not seeing the ball, not comfortable. Timing is off. Last night he took some fastballs. He Swung at some breaking balls that were out of the strike zone. More sliders down the line of the strike zone. Last night, surprisingly, he missed a couple of fastballs.
Yeah.
We're in a pretty good hitter zone.
Yeah, that breaking ball down there has given Josh Hamilton problems his whole career. That's nothing new. The hard part was getting it there. You keep it there, he's not going to cause any problems. Close, strike three. Or he can throw a fastball back when he's looking for something else. Kobe Lewis strikes out the side in order. He has 6 Ks for the night. After 2.5, the Angels 3 and the Rangers nothing. With MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins and instant replay, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and a lot more. Download in the App Store or visit TexasRangers.com today. Jim Adduci starting off the Ranger third inning. Angels on top 3-0, and Matt Shoemaker throws strike one. Adduci at 185 now, the average, a home run and 8 driven in. Jim has been sliding a bit of late. Tries the butt in front of the plate. Nice play by Iannetta. Didn't quite get that ball far enough away from home, and Iannetta pretty quick coming out from behind the dish.
Yeah, Jim gets down the line pretty well. If he could get that ball down the third baseline away from the catcher, he had a pretty good chance to beat it out.
Let's take time for a Mazda game break. Here's Aaron Hardigan. Aaron. All right, Aaron, thank you. Now, Matt Shoemaker's retired the first 7 now, and he'll face Robinson Chirinos with the bases empty. 0-1. Chirinos at 236. There's 11 home runs, 31 RBI. Those two were already career highs for Robinson. Chirinos just 1 for 7 on this homestand since Giovanni Soto's come back. Splitting the time with Giovanni behind the plate. A wave and a miss. That was like the splitter. Yep. 1-2. Chirinos back in, hitting out of that open stance. And he tops one foul down the third base side. We'll come back and try it again. The Shoemaker, much as Garrett Richards did last night, economy of pitches. Got one out here in the third inning, and only 32 pitches thrown so far for the right-hander. 21 strikes, 11 balls. Got him swinging. Bottom fell out of that thing. Strikeout number 2 for Shoemaker. 2 gone here in the third. Rougned Odor now will come out.
That's a very good pitch for him, obviously. I mentioned it a while back. He's pitched in AAA the last 2 years with an ERA of 5.03. Well, his ERA in the big leagues is about 3.80. Pitching significantly better for the Angels than he was in AAA for him.
And Odor takes strike 1. Well, he may have started to figure something out. His strikeout totals have gone up each of the last couple of years. Well, maybe he's just one of the late bloomers, if you will, as a pitcher. Trying to figure out how to use his stuff and what combinations.
Maybe he came up with that splitter in the last couple of months. He's always had good control in the minor leagues. He walked less than 2 batters per 9 innings as well. So command control has always been in his favor.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it sound like having increased strikeouts is that big a deal. It's not, but typically you see guys that have good stuff at the minor league level pretty much dominate, and strikeouts one of the telltale signs. You don't have to strike out a bunch of people to get outs at the big league level. One and 2 to Odor. Looking at a .255 with 5 home runs and 26 RBI. You have to be impressed with this young man, the job he has done since being given the opportunity to compete at the big league level this year. Got him swinging. Shoemaker back-to-back strikeouts, and he has retired the first 9. Rangers down in order once again. After 3 complete, it's the Angels 3, the Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. And by the all-new Mazda 3 with seamless connectivity. Into the top of the 4th inning, Colby Lewis on a pretty good roll. 4 consecutive strikeouts. Howie Kendrick up there, and considering that Matt Shoemaker has retired the first 9 Rangers that he has faced, we brought in some help here and gave him a half an inning to loosen up before the Rangers come back. Mark McLemore is joining us from Rangers Live. And Mac, you got to get loose now. You got half an inning. Rangers coming back up. They have not had a base runner yet. So we expect big things out of it.
We're going to get a couple of base runners, a couple of knocks.
Right. There we go.
Hopefully some hits, but we're going to score here in the next 3 innings that I'll be here.
Okay.
All right, we know you're the doctor of defense. We want to see the doctor of offense.
That's right. I had a little offense in me now.
He doesn't need any glove work out there. We need some hits.
No, we need some hits, steal a base or two, manufacture a run here or there, get a little something done.
3-2 now to Kendrick. Kendrick lined a home run into the bullpen in left center field his first time up. Well, that was, matter of fact, both of them have been ropes tonight off of Colby. Howard Pujols hit a low laser, and Kendrick's is a little bit higher, but pretty good carry on those line drives.
Yeah, unfortunately, the couple of mistakes that Colby's made today left the ballpark in a hurry.
That's out of play down the right side.
Just seems like this Angels team, this ball club, when they get a mistake, they don't miss it. They hit it hard somewhere, and that's the difference. That's absolutely the difference. If you get something, or if they get something out over the plate, up in the zone, they're putting some good wood on, some good hacks on it, and they're creating some offense.
That's a pretty good definition, I would think, of teams that are playing well overall. Guys are they're hitting every mistake they get. They're capitalizing on the mistakes the other team makes. Timely hitting, somebody new each night comes through, that kind of thing. It sounds cliched, but it applies to almost every team that's playing well.
It does. That's how you win ball games. Period. I mean, those are the constants that help teams win ball games, and it's just that way across the board.
Hendrick shoots one into the gap in left center. Turn to first, he will hang on as Tim Adusi gets the ball back in. So Howie Kendrick, a home run now, a ringing single. 1 on, nobody out for Eric Ibar.
And usually the hallmark of a good team is you have a lot of good players. It's not just 1 or 2 good players. And you don't need everybody hitting the mistakes. All you need is a couple of them. And right now you'd have to say Trout is slowed down a little bit. Hamilton's not swinging the bat all that well. Cole Calhoun is. The guys at the bottom of the order are. They've got 3 or 4 guys that are doing exactly what you said, Mac. And that's really all it takes to win a ball game if you're getting pretty good pitching.
Ibar takes the breaking ball for strike 1.
If you spread those guys out over the lineup, no matter where they are, who they are, if you've got 4 or 5 guys that are hitting mistakes, you're going to win a lot of ball games.
Yeah. I know from a pitching standpoint, it puts an awful lot of pressure on a pitcher. There's no let up in a lineup like this that the Yankees put out there right now. And all the way through, like you guys were saying, that the bottom of the order did it last night along with Calhoun. And now the middle of the order with the Pujols tonight and Kendrick. Ibar got a base hit his first time. So there's just no spot where you can kind of take a deep breath and say, whew, okay, I'll relax here for a second and then go back at it.
Yeah, probably another great example of that were the Ranger World Series teams. When you look at the lineups they were throwing out there. Yeah. Cruz, Napoli, Hamilton, Michael Young, Kinsler. I mean, they all the way through those lineups, boy.
I can remember a time that they had Napoli hitting 8th.
Yeah.
And he was swinging the bat pretty well.
Yeah.
So
that's what you're talking about, Buzz. Yeah. In a lot of lineups, you've got the 2 or 3 guys in the middle of the order you got to worry about, and then it's breathing room for 3 or 4 hitters. But when you got a guy like Napoli hitting 8th, there's no rest.
Yeah.
No pitcher hitting 9th either.
No. And that puts a lot of pressure on the pitcher. Puts a lot of pressure on the guys on defense, I would imagine, too, because if you make a mistake, you've got somebody coming up next that is swinging a bat pretty well. Can't give a team like that an opening. They're going to take advantage of it and walk right on through it. 0-2 pitch to Ibar is coming up. Ibar, the average now 265 after that second inning single. 30-year-old shortstop and named to his first All-Star team this year. Credit to how well he got out of the blocks, how well he has played. His 52 RBIs this year are second in the American League to Alexei Ramirez for shortstops. He's having a career year. offensively as well as defensively. This one popped up behind home plate. That will be back about 7 rows. Angels coming into play, trailing Oakland by just 1 game in the American League West. Oakland has lost 5 out of 6, and Angels have picked up 3 games in the last week.
A's were losing tonight, too.
Yeah, I was just looking out on the scoreboard to see if I can find that score. You're right.
I think it was 3-0 to the Braves.
There's a base hit to center. Ibar going right back through the box. Kendrick at second will put the brakes on and stop there, but back-to-back singles greet Colby Lewis here in the 4th. 2 on, nobody out for David Freese.
Well, Colby had struck out 4 straight hitters, the first 4 guys in the lineup coming into this inning. But Kendrick and Ibar have just hit rope. There's a pitch up and out over the plate that Ibar ripped. Kendrick ripped one in the at-bat before that over shortstop.
Mike Maddox out to see if he can slow things down a bit. Angels now with 6 hits thus far, and Colby Lewis, well, just running into a buzzsaw. I mean, that's about all you can say for it. You get Kendrick and Ibar in the middle. They're 2 for 2 tonight. You say, last night it was somebody else, and tonight it's these 2 guys and Pujols, and it's a problem when they're playing the way they are.
One of the things they're doing tonight, they're fouling off a lot of pitches, and in the outside part of the plate, inside part of the plate, and they're just waiting Colby out. And in that situation there, Ibar got a fastball up and out over the plate and drilled it back up the middle. So they're making Colby work for sure.
David Freese, a fly ball to center, his first time. It's a breaking ball from Lewis, and the slider nibbles on the outside corner for strike 1. Freese at 260. Got 2 Angel teammates aboard at first and second. Nobody out here in the 4th. Angels leading 3-0. Good fastball, and it's 0-2. David Freese this year, a half dozen home runs and 40 driven in. Current 11-game hitting streak. That's his second longest in his career. A 20-game hitting streak last year. That pitch just low, 1-2. Chirinos saying something to Eric Cooper, the home plate umpire. Not turning around, but just enough so that Cooper could hear what he was saying. Lewis back to the plate, hitting. Tried to come inside with that fastball, and it was inside all right. Well, that really puts Colby in a spot here. He's got the bases loaded with nobody out, and Brennan Bosch coming up.
I just got away from Colby.
Yep.
Colby's got pretty good command, trying to throw it in. Turn your head, close your eyes, you know it's going to hit you. Wow. Just not as sure exactly where it's going to get you. The emblem.
Going to have a few stitch marks on that tricep after a while. So, bases full, a couple of singles and a hit batter. Brendan Bosch fouled out when he faced Colby in the 2nd inning. And he hits a towering pop fly to shallow right. Rios coming on, tagging at third is Kendrick. He will probably not try to score. He doesn't. He bluffs the move as Rios gets the ball back in quickly. And that is a big out, number 1. Well, Bosch maybe a little over anxious, trying to impress Mike Scioscia and his new teammates.
That's one, and now you've got a hot hitter, Chris Iannetta. Mentioned his last 145 at bats, relatively long period of time. He's hitting right at 300. He's already doubled in a run back in the 2nd inning to go along with it. 6 out of his last 8 hits have been doubles.
Colby's slider is off the outside corner for ball 1. Iannetta now in this series 4 out of 5. .33 RBI for the Angel catcher. That batting average at .272. He loops one foul down the right side, and that's back into the seats. A ball and a strike. Well, Colby, as Mike Maddox would always say to him, just one pitch away from getting out of the inning, get that double play grounder at somebody. He got the hard one. That was the pop-up with nobody out and the bases loaded. One and two. You also have the opportunity to go for a strikeout if you want to. So all kinds of possibilities.
Yeah, Colby's in a good spot right now with being ahead in the count. He doesn't have to challenge him. He can just make his pitch and hopefully get Iannetta to roll into a ground ball double play somewhere, or like you said, the strikeout.
Got Kendrick at third, Ibar at second, Freeze at first. Rangers at double play depth. The 1-2 offering. Got him swinging. Got away with a hanging slider that Iannetta swung through. That's okay.
Yeah, there you got a hot hitter and a hanging slider, and sometimes you get away with it.
Boy, that thing had to be yelling, screaming, hit me when it left his hand. Well, a pop-up, a strikeout, 2 away now, and Colby within one good pitch of getting out of this unscathed. Cole Calhoun, the hitter, 0 for 2 tonight. A broken bat looper to right field is going to fall. Kendrick is home. Ibar behind him will score. A sawed-off base hit scores 2 runs and makes it a 5-0 lead. How about that?
Right on the verge of pitching out of a bases-loaded, no-out jam. Got the first 2 and then a little broken bat blooper. Calhoun had a double taken away from him the first time up, and this time he chinks one into right field. Little broken bat hit. The bases loaded, picked up 2 runs batted, and you can see where it hit right off the trademark, and that's what happens to the bat sometimes when it hits there.
Wow.
That bat broke below his fingers.
Yeah. Goodness. Now here's Mike Trout now with runners at first and third. Colby will try to keep Calhoun close at first. Well, that's a shame. You make some quality pitches and you get a couple of quick outs, just what you're looking for, and then one falls in like that. And Trout takes strike 1, taken all the way. Trout has struck out both times he has faced Lewis tonight. Colby, 7 punch outs in 3 2/3 innings. Kind of an odd line so far. 7 strikeouts, 7 hits, 5 runs in 3 2/3. Trout a .291 average. Got Freeze down at third base and Cole Calhoun at first. 1-1. Lewis studying the signs. Colby is ready. And a good fastball in on him. 1-2. Angels 5 runs on 7 hits thus far. Colby trying to limit the damage here in the 4th. Now trying to get behind veteran right-hander. 1-2 pitch. And he popped him up. Off to the Masterinos. And Beltre calling him off, coming down the line, makes the catch. And that will do it. They'll save a sawed-off blooper single. Colby Lewis had a good inning, a couple of runs on 3 hits and 2 left. 5-0 Angels.
To Globe Life Park, Buzz and Tom, a big day for season ticket holders here at Globe Life Park because it was the Rangers season ticket picnic day. That's right, Tracy Ole. You've been a season ticket holder since 1972, and the big picnic actually started this morning. What was going on?
Yeah, it was a great day. It was a great day for a picnic. In the morning, we had Chalk Talk sessions with Wash and JD and Chuck Morgan, gave us all the good scoop, and then in the afternoons, all the players came and did autograph signing sessions for everybody. And then everybody stuck around for barbecue.
That is awesome. Now, some of the autographs you got?
Well, I personally got Alex Rios and Nick Kopp.
Nice.
But Elvis was signing, Beltre was signing, Darvish was signing. Everybody was. JP, all the big guys.
So a big day for the season ticket holders, and well worth it, wasn't it?
It was. It was a great day.
All right, Tracy, good seeing you. Appreciate it, Buzz.
All right, Noxie, thank you. Hope they got all that in before the rain hit. Apparently they did. Shin-Soo Choo leading off here in the Ranger 4th inning. Matt Shoemaker now with a 5-0 lead, and he throws a strike to Choo. Shin-Soo began things by flying to center field tonight. Rangers still looking for their first base runner. One time through the order. That ball hitting well to left center field. Going back is Trout. He is looking up. Goodbye. The doctor of offense has struck.
There he is. There's one run. There we go.
Shin-Soo Choo is 12th home run of the year. It's a 5-1 Angels lead.
Oh, it's not the first ball he's hit like that either. He's got a lot of power to left center field. Going all the way to the back of the bullpen, hit off the back wall of the bullpen. Out over the plate.
A lot like that home run he hit in Houston down in left field. He's got tremendous power to left field. I can't recall a left-hand hitter that's able to hit a ball like a right-hand hitter does to that opposite field.
And Elvis driving one to right center. In a hurry is Calhoun. Ball hangs up for him a bit, and Calhoun able to track it down. One gone.
Ridnett saying, now you can hit him where I hit him the other night. So there you go. There's the other left-hand hitter right there. You can see some of the dents in that sign behind the Angel bullpen. He just added one more to it.
415 feet and one dent. Alex Rios takes a strike. I agree with you, Mac. You don't see left-handers hit the ball to straight away left the way that Chu has with that kind of power. The ball hit, when you're talking about down in Houston, was straight away left field. Matter of fact, toward the line. And it went clear to the back, off the wall, back behind the Crawford box.
Yeah, it didn't have much hook to it at all. It just stayed true and kept flying.
There's a drive for left center field. This one's always going to stay in as Trout able to move to his right and make the catch. Looked like it was better off the bat than it turned out to be.
I remember when the stadium first opened, Juan Gonzalez made a couple of comments about they're going to have to move the fence in at left center field, and that 390 sign is out there. Ball maybe early in the season wasn't carrying that well. Then the Indians came into town, and Jim Thome launched one about 7 or 8 rows over the sign just to the left of the 390 sign, and everybody said, well, if it's not too big for a left-hand hitter, then it should be fine for everybody else. And that part of the ballpark's a pretty fair part of the park. Yeah. I think most of the balls that go over there, we do a lot of most stadiums. A few of them might be an exception to that. For the most part, they're legitimate home runs.
Adrian Beltre, a ground ball to his counterpart, David Freese, at third. 0 for 1 tonight. Hitting at an even .320. Came into the game 5th in the American League with a .321 average. It's out of play to the right. 1-2.
But when Juan first went to the Tigers had a huge wall out in left field, very deep. They've shortened it since then. And Juan didn't sign a multi-year contract, a huge multi-year contract, because he didn't want to play in Detroit. Turned down a lot of money. I don't know over the years if he ever made all that money up that he left on the table in Detroit. But it's kind of funny that after he left, a few years later, they did shorten the fence up to make it much more attractive. So he was right in that ballpark.
2-2. And a full count.
The other side of it is, if you see where Juan hit some of those balls over his career, it didn't matter where the fence was. You saw a few of those, didn't you, Matt?
I saw a ton of them. And to this day, I still think, I play with a lot of great hitters. I still think he's the best RBI man that I've ever played with. And he was that guy, literally, that could drive you in if you weren't in the game. If you were sitting on the bench, you better have your spikes on, because he might drive you in. And there were games he'd come to the ballpark and, he would just say, hey, Mac, I feel good today. Meaning get on base, because I'm going to score. I'm either going to hit it out of the ballpark or I'm going to hit it in the alley somewhere.
Well, he was the MVP twice and had one season where he knocked in 100 runs before the All-Star break.
Right. I was very tired.
That's pretty amazing.
That was definitely amazing. I mean, he would literally, he'd tell me, Tom Goodwin, whoever it was in front of him, get to first base. Not get into the scoring position. Scoring position for Juan was first base.
Right.
That's all we needed.
Another 3-2. It's outside, and Adrian takes the walk. Well, Beltre aboard, and that's the first walk issued by Matt Shoemaker tonight. 2 outs, Leonis Martin will come to the plate. The fans tomorrow, the Rangers continue this series against the Angels. It's a 2:05 game, and the first 10,000 kids 13 and under will receive a Texas Rangers growth chart. That's courtesy of Medical Center Arlington Fitness All-Stars program. Get your tickets right now at TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS if you prefer. Leonis swinging a high fastball and fouled it back to the screen. Martin, a fly ball to right. His first time up. Shoemaker with the 0-1 pitch. Our crack research crew came up with Juan Gonzalez, the all-time leader for the Rangers. 259 go-ahead RBI for the Rangers. That's a lot of work. Wow. There's a lot of you guys running around in front of him, too. 0-2 pitch. Martin at 259 with the average. And 5 home runs. He's been stuck on 29 RBI for a while. Got Beltre at first with 2 outs. And lays off that high fastball, 2-2. Mentioned Leonis in his 4-game hitting streak at 500 average. That came on the heels of an 0 for 12 streak. A roller coaster on the upswing, and Leonis trying to keep it that way. There's a little squibber. That's going to be a base hit as Friesen stops and puts it in his pocket. Could not have walked out there and laid it in any better a spot.
Good pitch by Schumacher. That was his splitter, an off-speed pitch. He went right off the end of the bat. Came about a half an inch away from swinging and missing. Maybe less than that. Hit right off the end of the bat. Maybe an eighth of an inch from missing that ball. And just enough of it to roll it toward third.
Yep. So a walk, a 2-out single, 2 aboard. JP Arancibia, now a chance to really do some damage. Rangers already gotten on the board. Shin-Soo Choo's leadoff home run in this inning. 0-1. Arancibia flying out to shallow right field. His first time up. JP a 174 average right now. Shoemaker to the plate. He missed low. 1-1. Arancibia in his last 17 games has been a .226 hitter, and that's not a great average, but in those 17 games he has 5 home runs and he's driven in 18. So that's great run production. He's got Beltre at second and Martin at first. Rangers trailing 5-1 here in the 4th inning. Toward the hole, high ball in the left. Hamilton up and thrown to the plate. Beltre scores standing up, and Arancibia with the RBI base hit. It's now a 5-2 Angels lead.
Well, Arancibia's average may not be great, but he comes up with runners in scoring position. He's been driving them in and making those hits count. And here's another shot here. An RBI, 2-out RBI single to left. I don't know, whatever he did in the minor leagues while he was there, he made the adjustments, and they're definitely paying off for him now.
Swinging the bat better, getting a little better fortune too, finding some holes.
The walk, 2-out walk to Beltre, a little dribbler for an infield hit. JP hit that ball off the end of the bat, found a hole for it. Put a charge in one right now. He got a new ball game. Jim just missed a home run last night. Hit it right to the base of the wall in right field. Second time he's done that in the last few days.
He's got Martin at second, Arancibia at first. 2 outs. Shoemaker will set and check the runners. Going inside for ball 1. Adducey hit a little tapper. Tried to bunt. It turned out to be a little tapper right out in front of the plate first time. Our producers and directors just reminded me that Mr. McLemore, you have come through. Just the way you promised.
I'm not finished.
We're not looking for coming close, Buzz.
Yeah. No.
We're looking for putting the finishing touches on it right here.
Not finished yet.
I'm not asking too much. Another 4 or 5 runs will be fine. 1-1 the count to Adducey. Out of play. A ball and 2 strikes. Jim, since coming back off the disabled list, 132 hitter. When he went on the disabled list, he was a 385 hitter. Pitch up and into him. 2 balls, 2 strikes. .462, I'm sorry. He was hitting .462 when he went on the disabled list with that broken finger the first time. Shoemaker ready for the 2-2 pitch. Got under it. Shallow right field. Going out Kendrick. Calling everybody off. Makes the catch. And that'll do it. But the Rangers get on the board. They get a couple of runs on 3 hits. And they leave 2. We're going to the 5th inning. It's the Angels 5, the Rangers 2. Hometown kids. It's on every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock right here on Fox Sports Southwest, where it's not about the score, it's about the experience. That's a pretty good experience that young lady's having right there. Everybody having a good experience.
The only reason she wants to come to the ballpark, that ice cream.
It's different ice cream here than any place else. It's the good stuff. Kobe Lewis back to the hill to start work here in inning number 5. He'll face Albert Pujols, Josh Hamilton, and Howie Kendrick. Angels leading 5-2. Colby drops in a breaking ball for strike 1. Pujols, a line drive home run in the first. His 23rd of the year. 515th home run of his career. Broken bat roller out towards second. Odor on to Aaron Sebia. 1 gone. Not only an offer for Pujols and at bat, he's going to have to get a new bat the next time up. As Colby sawed him up. And as you can tell by the crowd reaction, Josh Hamilton coming up.
Well, they're not letting up at all on Josh.
No.
Every time he comes up there.
One thing about the fans here, they may not be baseball fans according to Josh, but they're consistent.
Well, he came into the game hitting .343 in 8 games against the Rangers, but it's been a struggle in this series. He struck out 4 times last night. He struck out twice tonight. 6 out of 7 times he struck out.
0-1 the count. And Colby back to the plate. Hamilton at .264 with the average as he faces Lewis here in the 5th inning. That's fouled away. A ball and 2 strikes. Josh came into play tonight with a modest 3-game hitting streak, but he's had just 1 hit in each of those 3 games. That included a 1 for 5 last night. Pulled foul off the screen in front of the Ranger dugout. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Josh, a 32-year-old in the 2nd year of a 5-year free agent contract signed with the Angels. Toward the right field corner, that is down and going to the wall. Rios over to play the carom. Hamilton into second, standing with a 1-out double. Got enough of it to get his 17th double of the year. That was kind of down toward the end of the bat. Just as strong as Josh is, it's deep enough for 2 bases. The 1-on, 1-out. Angels now with 8 hits. And Howie Kendrick at the plate has 2 of those. Loops it foul down the right side and back into the seats, 0-1. Kendrick, a leadoff home run in the 2nd. A leadoff single and a run scored in the 4th inning. Colby's 0-1 pitch. That will even the count. Kendrick now 6 RBI against the Rangers this year. To right field, that's a base hit. Down in front of Rios. Hamilton being waved around third. Here comes a throw, and he is out from here to grand play.
Best throw Alex Rios has made all year. That was a long-range throw, too, because the ball got to him so quickly. It was good because it got to him quickly, but he couldn't charge it because it got to him so quickly. He had to throw it a long way, but no problem. Why not throw all the way to the plate?
Great play. You see Alex thought about charging it initially, got a really good jump on it, and then had to hold up. Got it on the hop and threw a bullet and got Josh by 10, 15 feet.
Well, what a day for Kendrick. He's just ripping the ball, boy.
Yeah, 3 for 3. Harry DiSarcina waving Hamilton around even after Josh had held up to make sure the ball fell in. Didn't turn out too well that time for the Angels. Rangers will take all that.
Yeah, great throw by Alex.
Rangers now 25 outfield assists. 0-1 the count to Ibar, who is 2 for 2. A ball and a strike. Ibar not only a couple of singles, he's also scored each time that he has gotten on. Average at 267 as Colby Lewis sets. Nice job by Chirinos to block that breaking ball. 2-1. And here's where, if you're Colby, you really want to go after Ibar now and make sure that whatever momentum scoring 2 runs and getting a play like Rios' throw to get it out at the plate is continued. We want the Angels to come back and score in this inning. 3-1. Ibar hitting 6th in the order. They'll be followed by the 3rd baseman, David Freese. Kendrick at first. 2 outs here in the 5th inning. Through the wickets of Aaron Seavey into right field. Kendrick will move on over to 3rd safely aboard Ibar. The Angels now runners at the corners and 2 outs for David Freese.
It looked like JP was going to try to almost smother this ball, but it still snuck underneath him. See how it did that. Lifted his glove up, it looked like.
Scored an error on Aaron Seavey. Here you go. The infamous 5-hole wasn't covered up. Well, the first error of the night. Puts runners at the corners. David Freese hit by a pitch last time. 0 for 1 tonight. Ibar inching away from the bag at first. Kendrick a step or 2 down the line from third. 0-1. Colby now trying to pick up JP Arencibia and the rest of the guys. See if he can make that error meaningless in this inning. Good pitch to Freese. 0-2. Colby, who didn't use his slider much in the early going, maybe he didn't have a good feel for it. In the last few innings, last couple of innings anyway, has broken out some dandies.
Hadn't made a mistake there. Staying, keeping it off the outside corner, hitting that corner, or just a little bit off, which is where he needs to be with it.
No balls, 2 strikes. Chirinos wants that same pitch down and away. Check swing, he went around. And Kobe Lewis did a very good job of working around 2 hits and an error. Nothing across for the Angels. We played half the game. Angels 5, Rangers 2. PCS is giving your child a chance to take pitcher Martin Perez to school. Log on to MetroPCSTakeAPlayer.com for your chance to win. Metro PCS, it's wireless for all. Bottom of the 5th inning, Robinson Chirinos to start things off against Matt Shoemaker. And a strike on the inside corner taken by Chirinos. Robinson a strikeout in the 3rd inning. So the Rangers can keep Mo on their side here in this inning. Had a good defensive play last frame, and after scoring a couple, good job of pitching by Colby Lewis. But, get the enthusiasm raised up a couple of notches.
Yeah, Kobe's hasn't walked a batter. He's struck out 7 or 8. A little broken bat hit just killed him.
Yep.
Last 2 runs they put on the board.
0-2 the count. Now 1-2. Matt Shoemaker just at the 70 pitch level. Down the right side and then foul off the end of the bat a little bit and sliced more than Chirinos would have wanted. Robinson asking home plate umpire Eric Cooper, is that a strike? Cooper said no. And the pitch hit him.
Let's take one for the team right there.
Robinson was not going anywhere. He just turned his body and said, okay, I'll take it.
That's something that I couldn't do, Mac. When a pitch came toward me, even if it was a changeup, my reflexes said, get out of the way. I see guys that it looks like they distinguish between a fastball and an off-speed pitch, and they can hold their ground and get hit by a pitch. Could you do that?
No way. If it's coming at me, my first reaction, get away.
Yeah,
go,
me too.
Move, jump.
Me too. I had it happen one time, a changeup with the bases loaded in a close game, and you know I got out of the way, and I said, why didn't I just stand there and let it hit me? It wouldn't have hurt.
There goes Chirinos. The hit and run was on, and Odor pops it up to shallow left. Hamilton makes the catch. Back to first, Chirinos. That is out number 1. Back to the top of the order, Shin-Soo Choo. Let's take time here for a Monster game break. Here's Aaron Hardigan. Aaron. All right, Aaron, thank you. Here's Shin-Soo Choo, homered to the bullpen in left center his last time up. Well, he had another pitch almost in an identical area.
It looked like he was trying to go that way with it, too.
Fouled back to the screen for strike 1. Choo third on the club with those 39 runs driven in. 12 home runs put him second to Adrian Beltre. 0-1 pitch from Shoemaker. There's Guccione down there at third base. No swing. Mike Marin is up and throwing. He's been on the disabled list for a while, and apparently he's okay. I would hope.
Right now he is.
2-1. How about our AT&T Uverse Rewind? Last time up, Shin-Soo Choo. On a hanging splitter. He pounded it off the back wall of the visitors' bullpen.
There was that sound again.
Yes, it was. Ahead the count here, 2-1. Off speed just caught the outside corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Choo zone.
Yep. Chevy pitch tracker showing that is the Choo zone up there.
I bet you there's not a left-hand hitter in the league that's had that pitch called a strike more than Choo has.
Swung on and missed. Choo down on strikes.
You know, you can say, well, he shouldn't have swung at that pitch. But when you take the pitch before, there's a big difference between being ahead in the count and being behind in the count. Feeling like you've got 2 strikes and anything close is going to be called a strike. If that pitch is called a ball, like it should have been, maybe he doesn't swing at that pitch. Ahead in the count, behind in the count. He's not a guy that generally chases a lot of bad pitches.
I have a theory about why he gets those high pitches called on him a lot.
What?
It's the double flap helmet he wears. You don't see many in the big leagues wear the double flap helmets. What does that have to do with high strikes? I have no idea. I just thought I'd throw it out there. Really.
I'm waiting to say, is he kidding? Or, I didn't want to make fun of your theory, Mac. But say, wait a minute, I must be missing something here.
I just thought I'd throw it out there.
I like that. Got to buy me for about five. Got to buy me for about 5 seconds. What are you, crazy? You notice how you had dead silence here, didn't you?
Yeah, from both of us.
The look on your face was priceless, though.
I thought maybe the flat might have offended the umpire or something back there. You could see that. You got to be kidding me. Had me thinking about all kinds of things. I was going to make up stuff.
Like I did, right?
Yeah. 0-2 to Elvis. Check his swing on that nasty splitter down and in. A ball and 2 strikes. Elvis tonight has struck out in line to right field. Robinson Chirino still anchored at first. He was hit by a pitch to lead off the inning. A fly ball and a strikeout later. He is still there with 2 outs. Shoemaker gets the sign and a high sec. Got him swinging. And Shoemaker now 5 strikeouts. He's able to work around the leadoff hit by pitch. We have finished 5 innings here at Globe Life Park. It's the Angels 5, the Rangers 2. It's brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. The Ford Summer Spectacular Sales Event. Now playing in a Ford dealer near you. A 5-2 ball game. Angels on top. Colby Lewis has given up 5 runs on 9 hits tonight. Worked out of a real tough spot in the 5th inning. Fancy pitching. And he will go to work here in the 6th. Brendan Bosch will start things off. The line on Colby tonight. No walks, 8 strikeouts. Kind of an odd line. The 8 strikeouts, that doesn't correlate to 9 hits and 5 runs in 5 innings, but that is indeed what's happened. Bosch is 0 for 2, and he takes the first pitch. A belt high strike, 0-1. Bosch fouled out in the 2nd. Last time up in the 4th, came up with the bases loaded and nobody out. Swung at the first pitch and flying out to shallow right. Hit that ball at a country mile and a half, but it's foul. After that pop fly that did not score a run, Colby then struck out Iannetta, but then sawed off Cole Calhoun for a single that fell in for 2 runs. 0-2 pitch. Josh with a 136 average as he faces Colby here in this 6th inning. Got him swinging. Good breaking ball. Colby Lewis with his 9th strikeout. One gone. Chris Iannetta coming up. And we'll check in with Jim Knox again. Jim?
All right, Buzz, look who we have here. Joe Nichols, recording artist, country recording artist, here giving the post-game concert tonight down on the turf. Joe, what can fans expect tonight?
I like to get a little rowdy, a lot of country music, a little bit of, a little bit of baseball talk. We'll have a little fun.
Okay, now we understand that you now live in Tyler, Texas, East Texas. You've been there for a few years, so you are a big-time Ranger fan, right?
I love the Rangers. I grew up in Arkansas, and I kind of followed the Cardinals when I was a kid, and I moved down here when I moved down here in 2009. Kind of started following the Rangers. I married a Texas girl, and so now I'm a Rangers fan.
All right, and then we also know that you're after tonight you're off and keeping busy. Where are you next?
After tonight, we got 3 days off. Thank goodness, back in Tyler, Texas, and I'm going to take it easy and just enjoy my kids and some time off. Thank goodness.
All right, some family members in the back are saying something under their breath. Go who?
Go Rangers.
Go Rangers. Go Rangers. All right, there we go. All right, good enough. He's got the whole crew out here tonight, Buzz, having a good time.
I got to say hi to my Hog Sports and Mainboard friends. Thank y'all very much.
All right, there we go. Hog Sports, you got it. All right, appreciate it, Joe. Good seeing you.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, thanks. Buzz?
All right, Knox, thank you. Now, Colby Lewis, 9 strikeouts. Now, that's a season high for the big right-hander.
Hey, you're right, Buzz. No walks, 9 strikeouts. You wouldn't think 9 hits, 5 runs. That's for sure.
Yeah. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Iannetta. Iannetta, an RBI double in the 2nd inning. Last time up, struck out. He's gone on strikes again. Colby Lewis with an even 10 strikeouts through 5 2/3 innings.
He's got 3 in a row right now. He had 4 in a row back at the end of the 2nd and all the way through the 3rd inning. And Iannetta, after his double, has struck out a couple of times. He's been a pretty hot hitter, too. Colby made him look bad with that breaking ball.
Well, Colby tonight has struck out everybody in the Angels lineup except Kendrick and Ibar. And those 2 guys have been on base all 6 times. 1 error and 5 hits. Everybody else has struck out at least once, including the guy at the plate here, Cole Calhoun. 0-1. Calhoun drove one to the wall in dead center, leading things off tonight. Leonis Martin made a great running catch and pounded into the padding out there. And Calhoun shoots one the other way inside the bag. And extra bases coming up as Aducey cuts it off. But Calhoun steaming into second with a 2-out double. That is a pretty good piece of hitting right there.
That breaking ball might have been fooled for just an instant. Nope, doesn't look like he was fooled. He saw that thing all the way, boy. Look at the concentration. Just waited on it and sliced it right down the line.
No, Calhoun, another multi-hit game. He's 2 for 4 tonight. That's his 6th multiple hit game in his last 7. That's his 22nd double of the year. Now, he is in scoring position for Mike Trout, who is 0 for 3. Colby drops a slider on the outside corner. Trout has twice struck out tonight. Last time up, he fouled out to Adrian Beltre. Colby, a check of Calhoun at second. And Trout lost the fly ball to left. Pretty well hit, but room for Aducey to make the catch. And that'll do it. The 2-out double, no damage. Calhoun left stranded. We played 5.5. It remains the Angels 5, the Rangers 2 on Fox Sports Southwest. It's time for the Sonic Slam Inning, brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $600 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. Tonight, the Rangers are hitting for Judy Justice from Mount Pleasant. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Judy Justice from Mount Pleasant will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Now, Judy, you've got the most likely Rangers up there to do some damage for you. You've got Alex Rios, Adrian Beltre, and Leonis Martin. Here in the 6th inning, Rangers trailing by 3. Alex Rios is lined to left and skied to center. Gets that one off the end of the bat, and that runs the count to no balls and 2 strikes. Well, Matt Shoemaker tonight, with the exception of that 4th inning, that Ranger hitter is really off balance with that good splitter.
They're either behind the fastball or ahead of the change-up or splitter, and they just can't seem to get him right.
Five pitches now for Shoemaker. 56 strikes, 29 balls. Still 0-2 to Alex Rios. Got him swinging. That is strikeout number 6, and that's 3 in a row for Shoemaker.
Third baseman, Adrian.
One gone. Adrian Beltre walked and scored in the 4th inning. 0 for 1, having grounded out to third his first time up. And Shoemaker hits the outside corner with that fastball. As Tom told you, Shoemaker not by any means overpowering, but a combination of that sneaky fastball and that splitter, pretty tough for guys to pick up. Looks like he makes the fastball go a couple of different directions, too. He'll throw a tailing fastball or almost a sinking fastball, and then he'll maybe put a little cut or 4-seam action on one. 1-1 to Beltre. 2-1. Looking out into right center field, Phil Klein, the big right-hander, starting to loosen in that Ranger bullpen. So Colby Lewis's night may have come to an end. 3-1. Beltre walked his last time up, gunning for at least a walk here. He'll be followed by Leonis Martin.
An interesting note in the Angels' notes. In half of Shoemaker's starts, he's been paired up with a really good pitcher. Cliff Lee, Price, Shields, Sale, Darvish, Verlander. Half his starts, and in those starts, he's 4-1 with a 2.38 ERA. So he's outpitched most of those guys. Risen to the occasion a number of times for the Angels.
Payoff pitch.
He's trying to take that pitch to right field.
Look at him. He knows he's going to hear about it when he gets in that dugout.
I'm sorry, Adrian. I got to laugh at that.
Adrian's surprised that didn't go over first for a base hit. He's guiding that thing so it didn't hit him in the right shoulder.
And now he hits a little two-hopper down to freeze. That is out number 2. I'm not sure I've ever seen. Well, I know I've never seen Beltre do that. I'm not sure I've ever seen anybody do that.
I've seen some emergency hacks before. Not like that from Beltre, though.
Yeah. Can you call that a hack? That doesn't classify as a swing, does it?
It was an emergency, whatever it was.
Now 2 gone here. Now Leonis Martin, who had an infield single his last time up.
Saw Ruben Mateo in Boston one time take a full swing at an inside fastball from Pedro Martinez that hit him right in the chest.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember seeing that myself.
He wondered how. I still don't know how you do that.
Yeah, take a full swing at it.
It wasn't a tailing fastball.
It was a knockdown pitch, basically.
The funniest thing really was Pedro on the mound. It's like
Thanks.
Yeah. We had no idea what happened. It was just boom, right in the chest. Really?
That's what you call jamming yourself. Seriously. 0-2 to Leonis. The little looper's going to fall for a base hit. Leonis has got that thing going now where he needs to hit the ball where nobody is stationed. He's able to do it.
There you go. It doesn't matter how hard you hit it. Just hit it where they ain't.
Martin with his second hit tonight, and that's going to do it for Matt Shoemaker as Mike Socha bouncing out of the Angel dugout very quickly. Leonis Martin with that looping single aboard with 2 outs here in the 6th inning, and Shoemaker finished for the night after throwing 96 pitches. He leaves with a 5-2 lead. He will turn this game over to the bullpen, and we'll tell you about the new pitcher when we come back. 5-2 the score. We'll take a timeout. We're back after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Don't miss your chance to see the Sooners in their first game of the year. That's coming up August 30th against Louisiana Tech. And this game is only available on pay-per-view, so call your cable or satellite provider to get more information. And don't miss the Sooners 2014 opener. A 1-on-2 out here in the 6th. Mike Morin, who was just activated from the disabled list today, is taking over on the hill.
Morin's having a solid season for the Angels. 42nd game coming up. He's got a good ERA, just about a strikeout printing, not many walks, good opponent's batting average. Taking a deep breath, working on his concentration to try to get out of this inning. Got a good changeup.
He will work to J.P. Arancibia, who had an RBI single his last time. Pitch inside for ball 1. J.P. now 29 RBI. Batting average up to 179. Got Leonis Martin at first with 2 outs in the 6th. And Warren will go to work on Martin. Leonis has had pretty good success in his career already against the Angels. He's 13 for 14 in stolen bases. Down by 3. I don't think he'll be necessarily going here. Twisting foul down the right field side.
I don't think so, and I hope not. Not with JP. The way he's been swinging the bat over the last few weeks, driving in all the runs and 7 home runs since he's been back. So down 3 in the 6th inning, I don't see him running.
1 ball and 1 strike to Arancibia. Tied for second in Major League Baseball with those 23 RBIs since the break. He had one up from Morin that he had a rip at. He fouled it back. You could almost classify that as a hanger.
Got a big swing at it, I know that.
Warren sets a check of first. Snap throw over there. Leonis back pretty easily. Warren was on the disabled list with a laceration in his left foot. Caused him to miss 13 games. One and two. And Sebia, it's a towering foul pop that will reach the seats right next to the Angel dugout. There was that changeup you were talking about, Tom.
Yeah.
Good motion on it.
It is. It's a good changeup, boy. Angel bullpen is, we mentioned it earlier in this series, they don't have a lefty in the bullpen, but they've got 7 pretty good right-handers. They acquired Houston Street, Jason Grilly recently to bolster their bullpen. Joe Smith has done a good job for him all season long. Kevin Jepson, take away what he's done when he's played against the Rangers, his ERA would be about 0.5. Rangers have gotten to him.
That pitch gets away from Iannetta, so down to second goes Leonis Martin. That looked like he was kind of in slow motion. Slow change up, and Iannetta trying to pick it, went up straight up in the air. A wild pitch. Charge to Morin. A 2-2 the count to Aaron Sebia. Now, I don't care how many times you throw JP something slow. Throw him one fastball, he's going to have a huge hack. You can't set him up to get him off that fastball.
That's a good thing. I like guys that throw that fastball. You're going to get beat by the off-speed stuff, not the heater.
Martin the lead from second, right there at the bottom of your screen. Got him, and that was the off-speed pitch. The Rangers don't score. They get a runner on a base hit, but leave one. We finished 6-5-2 Angels. Matt, thanks for joining us. We'll see you on Rangers Live after the ball game. All right. The Angels put up at least a run. Colby Lewis had a kind of an odd night, 6 innings, no walks, a season-high 10 strikeouts. And he also gave up 10 hits and 5 runs. It just doesn't sound like a shitty equate. Meanwhile, Howie Kendrick, 3 for 3 tonight, a home run, and he has scored a couple of runs too.
And Kendrick has really hit the ball hard tonight. Hit the home run into the Angels bullpen. A line shot to left field and a line shot on a pitch away to right field. Phil Klein coming in for the Rangers. This will be Phil's 6th game. His last start was terrific. Might not get it perfectly, but it seems like it was 2 2/3, and he struck out 4 or 5 guys in that game. Got his ERA down. Got victimized by a couple of home runs in his first 2 appearances, but since that time, he's been throwing the ball great. 1.90 ERA.
That outing was 3 days ago against the Tampa Bay Rays, where it was 2 2/3, 5 strikeouts. 2 2/3 perfect innings for Phil Klein. So trying to build on that, he will face the heart of the Angels order. Albert Pujols, Josh Hamilton, and Howie Kendrick.
Phil has not walked a batter, struck out 8 in 5 2/3.
Pujols tonight, 1 for 3. That solo home run in the first inning. 1 ball and 1 strike. We were talking about Klein when he first came to the big leagues. He had not given up an extra base hit all year. Either Frisco or AAA Round Rock. I'll be darned if the first hitter he faced didn't take him out of the ballpark. Yeah. Did Chisenhall take him out?
Yeah. Little slider.
So much for that. 2-1 the count. Off the end of the bat, a little pop fly, shallow left coming on to Deuce. And Jim makes a running catch for out number 1. So Klein able to get a pop-up from Pujols. 1 gone for Josh Hamilton now. The Hamilton chorus out here at the ballpark. Josh doubled into the right field corner his last time out. 1 for 3 tonight. Now a 4-game hitting streak. Rangers go into that extreme overshift for Hamilton. You get Odor a good 40 feet out into shallow right field, and first pitch fouled away down the first base side. 0-1.
Well, Josh said some things, and he made the fans a little bit upset, and that's what they remember most recently from when he left, and so he tends to get that kind of reception. But at the same time, I think they also remember that the Rangers don't go to the World Series twice if Josh Hamilton's not a Ranger, so you can't lose track of what he meant to the franchise either.
Exactly.
This is getting all the attention right now and all the reaction, but deep down inside, everybody remembers what he did.
Klein ready for the 0-2 pitch. Klein swinging. Still going up, and Josh Hamilton got off a couple of runs early on that ladder. 2 gone.
Sooner or later, Josh will come to the ballpark and have his timing and feel good, but right now, boy, he is in between. He missed that fastball by a wide margin. Managed to get a hit in each of the last couple of games. Also struck out 7 times, 7 out of 9 times.
And Howie Kendrick, who has not struck out tonight. He is 3 for 3. 2 singles and a home run. 1 ball, no strikes. Kendrick now at 285 with the average. Klein dropping in that off-speed pitch. 1-1 the count. Klein ready. tall right-hander back to the plate. Kendrick going the other way, and he squirted one foul past Alfredo Griffin down the first baseline. Good shot from our RF camera, roving around the Globe Life Park, that down to the commissioner's box, the third baseline. One and two, the count to Kendrick. Howie Kendrick and Eric Ibar, a pretty good keystone combination for the Angels. Both of them over 50 RBI, both of them getting on base a lot. Solid defensive players. The Rangers will retire Kendrick for the first time tonight as Martin takes care of it. And Phil Klein works a 1-2-3 seventh inning. Time for the stretch here in Arlington. It is a 5-2 Angels lead. Now please join Chuck Morgan.
As we pause to honor the men and women of our armed services both at home and around the world. Tonight we invite you to join in singing God Bless America with Jill Ing.
God bless America, land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Three different innings the Angels put up at least a run. Colby Lewis had a kind of an odd night. 6 innings, no walks, a season high 10 strikeouts, and he also gave up 10 hits and 5 runs. And that just doesn't sound like it should equate. Meanwhile,
really
Howie Kendrick 3 for 3 tonight, a home run, and he has scored a couple of runs too.
And Kendrick has really hit the ball hard tonight. Hit the home run into the.
Well, folks, this month of September is full of exciting giveaways. On Saturday, September the 6th, the Rangers celebrate Star Wars Night. The first 15,000 fans get an R2-D2 beanie hat. That's courtesy of Chicken Express. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com. Now, Mike Morin back to the hill to work the bottom of the 7th inning. Jim Adducci leading things off for the Rangers. First pitch is fouled straight back. Adducci 0 for 2 tonight. Jim battling an 0 for 18 as he faces Morin. Rangers 2 runs on just 4 hits this evening. All of their damage, 3 of their 4 hits, and both their runs came in the 4th inning. Off Matt Shoemaker. The offense continuing to sputter, be a little bit inconsistent. It's been a long streak now, going back 15 games, including tonight, that the ball club has hit under 230. First 14 games of August, they hit 228, and there's 4 more hits this evening. If you want to take it back further to the middle of June, ball club averaging just 3.5 runs per game. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, that changeup will make you step out of the box and think a little bit. he's got a decent fastball, 91, 92 mile an hour fastball to go along with it.
And Adduci pops up the next pitch. Angling out toward the line, Eric Eyeball. 1 gone. Now, before Robinson Chirinos comes up, let's take time for a Mazda game break. Once again, here's Aaron Hardigan. All right, Aaron, thank you. Chirinos, who was hit by a pitch last time up. And Morin coming up and in right over the head of Chirinos. Morin stood there like that's exactly what he wanted to do.
Well, I'm not, if you've got a purpose and a reason, and throwing inside the hitters is all part of the game, but I'm not buying that one. I don't know what the reason is, but
I wouldn't have any idea. The 1-0. Chirinos pops it foul behind home plate. Back into the seats. Robinson hit by that pitch last time up. Struck out his first time up there. 235 the season average for the Rangers catcher. Warren ready for the 1-1 pitch. Robinson just 2 for his last 14 times at the plate. That's 5 games now. You've seen that batting average drop about 6 points. Shoots this one well to left center field. Hamilton on the run, back in the alley. It is off the wall. Into second base with a slide. Robinson Chirinos, a ringing double. Right to the 390 mark.
Well, you have to assume that the pitch up and in was an accident. No reason to believe otherwise. But regardless, when you have a pitch thrown up there, it can kind of shake your confidence at the plate a little bit. But not Robinson. He stepped right back in there. Got a pitch he could handle up out over the plate and almost drove it into the bullpen for a home run. Good concentration right there. Not fazed at all by that pitch up and in.
Boy, that Phantom Cam is showing you the concentration, the focus, and almost a home run result out of that.
Yeah.
Mike Butcher out to talk with Mike Morin. And Jason Grilli. One of the several Angels that have closing experience down there in that bullpen. He was up and throwing. Butcher taking a little time out there to give the bullpen a chance. Let's take a look at our fan photo selection for tonight while we have a moment here. AT&T making all this possible, our interaction. This is from Kerry. Appreciate that picture, Kerry. If you folks would like to tweet your photo, it's hashtag SouthwestFanPhoto. Pitch to Rougned Odor is in for strike one. Odor 0 for 2. A strikeout and a fly ball to left tonight. Rangers now with 5 hits. Chirinos at second base. Moore into the plate. Out of play, and Odor now down on the count. 0-2. Rougned doing a little groundskeeping work there in the batter's box. Now he's back in. Odor with 26 RBI. He's got one more out there at second. One ball, 2 strikes. Odor, 1 for his last 12 times to the plate. So that one was his 5th home run of the year. Throws this one to right. Calhoun coming on, kind of a lazy fly ball. He makes the catch. And staying at second is Chirinos. That is out number 2, and it will take the Rangers back to the top of the order for Shin-Soo Choo. Choo tonight has homered in 3 trips to the plate. Other than that home run, he has struck out and flied to center. Angels defend Choo pretty much straight away with the right-hander Moore on the mound. Outfield a couple of steps to the left. The off-speed pitch is in for strike 1. Choo didn't think so. Telling Eric Cooper that.
He had one called in his last at bat that was 2 inches high, 2 inches away. That was, that was a little bit closer to being a strike.
Ron Washington going to have to go out there and break up the conversation. Keep Choo in the ballgame.
I think Shin-Soo's just feeling a little bit of frustration, not as much with that pitch as with a number of pitches over the course of 4 months.
Yeah, and that frustration is one of the byproducts, I think, of the ball club not playing well and having a bad ankle and all kinds of things going into it. And the skipper out there to make sure he keeps his DH in the game. 0-1 the count to him. Now 1-1. Choo at 244 with the average. 106 hits for the year. His 100th was also his 1000th career hit. That came down in Houston. And that changeup floats very high. It's 2-1. Moran going to talk with Chris Iannetta. Sure, Iannetta saying, hey, we don't want to walk a runner here to get the tying run to home plate. We need to throw a quality strike. And Choo banking on that. He would like to have a strike to hit. Moran ready. Way inside. And that did hit it. Well, we'll bring Elvis Andrus to the plate as the tying run. And he will not face Mike Moran. Mike Scioscia is headed to the mound.
A little bit of a struggle for Moran this inning. He almost hit Chirinos with a pitch in the head. Then Robinson doubled. He's ahead of Shin-Soo and hits him in the leg, and Rangers will bring the tying run to the plate.
Choo aboard as he took one off the right thigh, and Mike Scioscia taking the call to the bullpen. Jason Grilli is coming on. We'll tell you all about the former Ranger when we come back after this in a 5-2 Angels ball game. strikeouts, and he also gave up 10 hits and 5 runs. And that just doesn't sound like it should equate. Meanwhile,
no,
Howie Kendrick, 3 for 3 tonight, a home run. And the bottom of the 7th. They have 2 on and 2 out. Jason Grilli has come on to take over for Mike Morin.
Grilli on the season, those are his numbers. It was an interesting trade. Grilli was struggling with Pittsburgh. He had been a solid guy there for a couple of years. Ernesto Frieri was struggling with the Angels, so they just traded places. We'll take your guy, you take our guy, and hope that the change of scenery helps. It did for Grilli. It didn't for Frieri. He got released the other day, but Grilli's become a pretty important part of the Angel bullpen.
Well, Grilli on now, facing Elvis Andrus, who lines one to right, a base hit. Calhoun charging, they're going to hold Torino to third. As Calhoun got to the ball quickly. But a base hit by Elvis, and the Rangers have the bases loaded and 2 out with Alex Rios coming up.
The Rangers did a little bit of rallying late in the game yesterday and made a good ball game of it. They're trying to do the same thing tonight. Pitch fastball. Elvis took advantage of it. Hit it solidly, too solidly actually in the right field. Calhoun, a solid right fielder with a solid arm, and couldn't take a chance, down by 3 runs. Robinson hadn't even gotten to third base yet, and see that throw come home. It's a pretty good throw.
Well, the Rangers have the tying runs aboard here with 2 out. Alex Rios 0 for 3 tonight. He was lined out, flied out, and struck out. Chirinos at third, Chu at second, Andrus at first. Now time called momentarily. Alex hitting at 283. Iannetta wants some time. Really having a little trouble getting together on the signs. Now Grilli has 1 to work with. And the pitch is low for ball 1. I said when Alex was up last time, he didn't have a home run in 74 games. He hasn't had a home run in 28 consecutive games. He's had 1 in his last 74. One ball, no strikes. Up the middle, base hit. Chirino scored. Around third comes Chu. He will score without a throw. And Alex Rios comes through on 2-run single. It is a 5-4 game.
Like last night, the Rangers making it extremely interesting right now. It brings up 8 new cards. It's inside out swing right by Grilli into center field.
Alex Rios, RBI number 48 and 49. The Rangers doing all this with 2 outs. Adrian Beltre 0 for 2 tonight with a walk. Other 2 times he has grounded out to third. Takes ball 1. 320 average for the Rangers cleanup hitter. He has faced Grilli 5 times in the past. 1 base hit against the veteran right-hander. 1-0 pitch. 2 balls and no strikes. The best on the Ranger club in these situations. 2 outs, runners in scoring position. A 372 mark for Beltran. Elvis at second. He is trailed by Rios at first. 2 balls, no strikes. Kendrick on to first, and that'll do it. Well, the Rangers rally for a couple. They get a couple of huge 2-out base hits, but Strand 2. We'll go to the 8th inning. It's now the Angels 5 and the Rangers 4 on Fox Sports Southwest.
Game, it's gotta be. Morgan Luttrell served in the Navy SEALs for how long?
14 years.
14 years here, enjoying the game tonight with his wife and a few friends, and congratulations. Here's the Progressive Fan of the Game shirt. Anything you'd like to say, Morgan?
God bless the troops. God bless Texas, and go Rangers. Never quit.
There we go. All right, Morgan, appreciate it. Buzz?
All right, Knox, thank you. Now we head to the top of the 8th inning. And Neil Kotz, once again, has come out of the bullpen to take over here this evening.
Oh, a very nice inning for Phil Klein. 3 up, 3 down with a strikeout. And Neil takes over his customary 8th inning of work right here, trying to keep it a 5-4 ball game. Rangers will have 2 more shots to make up that deficit and more.
First ball swinging, Eric Ibar rounds out to his counterpart. Elvis across the diamond, 1 gone. So Ibar is 2 for 4. Makes a U-turn at first base, heads back to the dugout. That'll be David Freese, the third baseman. Kotz worked in last night's ball game, worked 2/3 of an inning. Allowed 1 walk, and that was it. Freese tonight 0 for 2, hit by a pitch back in the 4th inning. One ball, no strikes. Freese hitting at .259 as he faces Kotz. He is jammed and a slow 2-hopper to Adrian. To Aaron Sebia, 2 gone. Well, Neal able to get that fastball really working its way in on the fists of David Freese. Now he will deal with the left-hander, Brendan Bosch. Bosch tonight 0 for 3. He has popped out, flied out, and struck out. And a strike thrown by Kotz. Bosch waiting. Kotz is set. to left field. Going back, Aducey still going back. And pulls it in. That ball was by Aducey and somehow able to extend that long frame of his and pull it in. And Neil Cox has a 5-pitch, 1-2-3 eighth inning. What a play by Aducey. Bottom of the eighth, Rangers trailing by 1.
The Angels currently lead the Rangers 5-4 entering the bottom of the eighth. Don't forget, after the game, it's Rangers Live, the postgame edition presented by Esurance. Mark McLemore will join me at the desk to break down tonight's showing and explain what we can take from it moving into tomorrow's finale. We'll also, of course, hear from the skipper, Ron Washington, and Emily Jones will not only be working the clubhouse for player reaction, she'll also have a bucket of ice water poured on her. All the more reason to tune in after the game, guys.
All right, Aaron, thank you. Yeah, let me go to the bottom of the eighth inning. Leonis Martin leading off, and he will face another right-hander coming out of the bullpen. That's all the Angels have out there. This is Joe Smith.
Well, Joe Smith has had a chance this year to be the closer for a while. In fact, he closed out and saved 15 ball games. As soon as Houston's streak came over, Smith went back to his customary eighth inning role, where he's done a very good job over the years. Excellent numbers for Smith, more than a strikeout per inning. Low opponent's batting average.
John McDonald in the ballgame defensively now at third base. As Smith is a tailing fastball to the outside corner. Smith worked a third of an inning last night. Was the bridge in the eighth inning to get the ball game to the ninth and to Houston Street. This is outside here, 3-1. Oh, Leonis trying to get aboard.
Wow, what a beautiful shot.
What a play by Jim Aducey. My goodness. Now 3-2. Well, Leonis trying to get aboard to lead off this eighth inning. They're trailing by 1. J.P. Arancibia would be next, but Mike Karp is out of the on-deck circle now. With the possibility of having Leonis aboard. Down the left field line, Hamilton right to the stands. Oh, it's out of his reach. The count remains 3-2. Smith, one of the big free agent acquisitions by the Angels in the offseason, a 3-year deal coming over from Cleveland. Angels also went to Cleveland and got Vinny Pistano late, the 4-5 at bullpen. Another 3-2. This one skied to shallow left. This one playable for Hamilton. And over toward the line, one gone. Leonis flies out. He's now 2-4. We'll bring up Mike Carp as a pinch hitter.
Mike Carp. Pinch hitting for JP Aracibia. Mike Carp, number 28. Pinch hitting for Aracibia.
Mike Carp this year with Boston and with the Rangers, 189 the average. No home runs, 11 RBI. And he takes the pitch from Smith for strike one. Carp is 0 for 1 in his career against Joe Smith. Fouls that next pitch off. 0-2 the count. Neftali Feliz, Roman Mendez in the Ranger bullpen. You would think you'd see Feliz if the game got tied or the Rangers went ahead. Mendez, if it stays the way it is now. Carp, right center field, moving to his left. Nice Trout. Able to make the grab. There are 2 gone, and Jim Adduci coming up.
Left fielder Jim Adduci.
Now let's take a look at our Jimmy John's freaky fast delivery, and actually it's a dual delivery. This is the first play of the game. Leonis Martin into the padding in center field, taking it away from Cole Calhoun. That's the first one. And how about this one? Jim Adduci just this last inning, going all out, stretching as far as he possibly could. Freaky fast by 2 great outfielder catchers. Oh, 1 to Adduci.
They're pretty similar catches. They both had to run as far as they could and reach as far as they could. They almost had to contend with the wall. Jim might have gone actually a little farther.
A ball and a strike. Adduci tonight has grounded out, popped out twice. 179 the average as Smith sets. Pulled on the ground to Kendrick. And Joe Smith works a 1-2-3 8th inning, utilizing 13 pitches. So the Rangers gone, and we'll go to the 9th inning here at Globe Life Park. It's the Angels 5 and the Rangers 4.
leading the Angels by a score of 5-4 as we welcome you back to Globe Life Park in Arlington. Time for AT&T U-verse to get us ready for tomorrow's game, which is the finale of this 3-game set between the Halos and the Rangers. Alex Rios snapped his 0-for-16 skid tonight. Hopefully the Rangers offense has got a little bit more left in it, fellas, as we kick it back up to you.
All right, Emily, thank you. I think there's some gas left in that tank. Enough left to get a couple of runs here in the ninth. Roman Mendez trying to make sure that the Angels don't score here in the top of the ninth.
Yeah, Roman has had a lot in his tank in his 16 appearances. He's done a great job. Few too many walks, possibly 10 walks in 18 innings, but good stuff. Generally a mid-90s fastball. Pretty good pitches to go along with it. Opponents are only hitting 159 against him.
Mendez will face the number 9 man, Chris Iannetta, to start things off. And we'll take the Angels back to the top of the order for Calhoun and Trout. Iannetta 1 for 3 tonight. An RBI double in the second. Simpson has struck out a couple of times. And elevated a bit. Strike one. Angels 5 runs on 10 hits this evening. The Rangers 4 runs on 7 hits. Just committing the only error of the ball game. Now to play. 0-2 very quickly. Iannetta, a .270 hitter. She stands at the plate, leading off the top of the ninth inning for the Angels. The 0-2 for Mendez. Didn't miss by much. Well, he told you we're right back here tomorrow afternoon for the finale of this 3-game series. Nick Tepesch and Hector Santiago. Santiago, the left-hander, and of course Tepesch building on some very good starts. Slow roller to third, Beltre, and down under. And a strike thrown to the new first baseman, Mike Clark. One away.
Right fielder Cole Calhoun.
Now Cole Calhoun. Houston straight, up, and loosening in the Angel bullpen. Calhoun had a double his last time up. That was the 6th inning. Had a 2-run single in the 4th inning. That, to this point, probably the biggest single hit of the ball game.
Yeah, that one hurt. It looked like Kobe was just about to pitch out of a bases-loaded, no-out jam. Had 2 outs. Made a pretty good pitch on Calhoun, really smashed his bat. Calhoun just kind of muscled a little blooper, broken bat blooper into right field for 2 runs. That one hurt.
Yep.
And just like last night, though, the Rangers have battled back. Make it 5-4.
Sure have. 1-0 pitch. Chopper into the Ranger dugout. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, the Rangers last night out-hit the Angels in that ball game. And they have not done that tonight, but still they've gotten pretty good production. 4 runs on 7 hits. The 1-1 for Mendez. Well, Calhoun is very quick inside.
He's got a short stroke,
yeah.
Boy. Powerful short stroke. Mentioned in the pregame show that he was an 8th round draft choice, which is a solid draft choice, but not, it's not a top draft choice.
Sure.
But you look at his tools. He's a good outfielder. He throws well. He has solid speed. Good eye at the plate. Makes some contact. Good ball player, boy. You don't expect to get a regular performing like this in the 8th round very frequently. The Rangers got a similar kind of player, Rusty Greer, in about the 10th or 11th round. I think Calhoun is hoping he becomes that kind of a player.
Mendez took a little off, and he got the ground ball to second. Calhoun retired. There are 2 gone. Nice pitch by Roman Mendez.
Mendez is getting a great opportunity to pitch in meaningful games in the big leagues. Chance, maybe he would get it if the team was a pennant contender. Maybe he wouldn't. But he's continually getting the kind of appearances that should give him a lot of experience and a lot of confidence as you go into next season.
And I think you pointed this out, Tom, a couple nights ago. He's getting the kind of appearances now where he has margin for error. And if you're in a pennant race, you wouldn't have much of a margin for error.
No.
He might get a few opportunities, but it would be a lot more pressure packed. 1-0 the count to Trout. Mike Trout tonight 0 for 4. The off-speed pitch got it over the inside corner. 1-1. Well, we look forward to the bottom of the 9th inning. Houston Street will face Robinson Chirinos, Rougned Odor, and Shin-Soo Choo. Numbers 8, 9, and 1 for the Rangers. If Roman Mendez gets this final out without any damage done, they will need 1 to tie and 2 to win in the bottom of the 9th. It's not asking too much.
No, not at all.
The 1-1 pitch coming to Mike Trout. Two balls and a strike. Look down at the scoreboard. The Twins came back to beat Kansas City tonight. 4-1 the final at the Target Field.
And Tigers, David Price beat Seattle. That's a huge game for them.
That makes that a half-game lead for Kansas City now again.
And Seattle's right there battling both those teams for the wild card spot too.
3 balls and a strike. Trout with the upper hand in this at bat. Trout to center field. Leonis Martin got a good break on the ball. Easily cruising over to make the grab. And Roman Mendez, a 1-2-3 inning. That is 10 straight now sent down by Ranger pitchers. Bottom of the 9th coming up. Rangers trailing by 1. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest. It's brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. By AT&T UVerse TV. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PIC-ATT. Mobilizing your world. And by your Texas Ford dealer. The Ford Summer Spectacular Sales Event. Now playing in a Ford dealer near you. Rangers now coming to bat in the bottom of the 9th. They will have to pick on the closer. That is Houston Street.
Oh, it's been tough picking on Houston Street with the Angels. He's been in 11 games, has not given up an earned run yet. Pitched 11 innings, and he saved 8 ball games. Has not given up many hits either. Not a dominating fastball, but a solid fastball. He's always had a good slider. Now he's throwing a very good changeup. We saw that last night. Changeup was a very good pitch for him in last night's ball game.
So Houston Street on now to face Robinson Chirinos, Rougned Odor, and Shin-Soo Choo. Rangers trailing 5-4. And Robinson Chirinos doubled and scored his last time up. He started a rally in the 7th for the Rangers, trying to do the same here in the 9th. First pitch is high for ball 1. Robinson 1 for 2, also hit by a pitch this evening. Street working from the wine and throws a strike to the inside corner. Houston Street, the 2005 American League Rookie of the Year with the Oakland Athletics.
You know, when you watch Street, obviously he's got good pitchers, but the other thing that I think really makes him effective is he's been there before. He's got the experience. He knows how to close games. Kind of like Eddie Guardado. He might not dazzle you with his stuff, but when he's on the mound, he looks like the guy that's in charge, ready to close the ball game.
And I'm sure every hitter feels like he knows exactly what he's doing every time he throws the ball.
Yeah.
Whether he does or not. Good pitchers can make hitters believe that. Rolled out to short. High bar. One gone.
There's that changeup.
Yep.
Second baseman, Rougned.
Now Rougned Odor will come up. Odor 0 for 3 tonight. He has flied out twice and struck out. Last night's ball game, Rougned Odor flied to center against Houston Street in that 9th inning. So he's had some experience against a quality closer. And Street's first pitch. 0-1 on the foul ball. Brook down to .252 average. Has some power, obviously, and the Angels playing relatively deep, but not in a no doubles alignment. Late swing and a miss on a high fastball. 0-2. Odor going to get a little stick 'em. Rougned stepping back in there. Houston Street climbs back up on top of the hill. The 31-year-old to the wine, and the pitch is high and outside. Street part of the College World Series team a couple times with the Longhorns. UT still lives in Austin. 1-2 pitch. Now backing out of play. Change up. Odor able to get a piece of it. Still 1-2. Pitch on the way. 2-2. Street with Oakland, went over to Colorado in a trade that really stocked the Rockies for a while. Got Houston Street and Carlos Gonzalez for Matt Holliday. Unfortunately, the Rockies not able to build around that until recently. That pitch blowing inside. It's 3-2. So Ruka trying to get aboard here with one out in the ninth inning. A 5-4 Angels lead. Shin-Soo Choo is waiting to be next. Mike Scioscia kind of out of the skipper's hands right about now, watching his closer go about his business. The wind, the payoff pitch is popped up. Pujols and Kendrick, it's Howie Kendrick right behind him.
Get out of the way, big guy.
Pujols looking at him like, what are you doing?
I never played here before. Hey, what about me?
This is mine over here. Well, 2 out now, and it's up to Shin-Soo Choo if this ninth inning is going to continue.
Adrian wouldn't let him do that.
No.
Adrian would have moved him away with his arm and caught it himself. Albert's more polite. Oh,
I think Pujols was talking to him the whole time, too.
Can't quite believe what he's doing. I've got a feeling he's going to hear about that after the game.
No doubt.
It might be kangaroo court.
Oh, yeah, that would be. Yeah. Yeah. Showing up a veteran.
Yeah. Hall of Famer.
1-0 to Choo. Shin-Soo 1 for 3 officially. Had that long home run in the 4th. In the 7th, he was hit by a pitch. Then came around to score on Alex Rios, 2-out, 2-run single. 1-0 pitch from Street. 1-1. Choo hitting at 244 as he faces Street. Choo last night in a similar situation, identical situation. Flied out to left to end the ball game. He grounds one, a diving stop, and up and throwing is Howie Kendrick, and that is how the ball game ends. Oh, a great play by Kendrick to take a base hit away from Shin-Soo Choo, and for the second straight night, the Los Angeles Angels have defeated the Rangers 5-4 and thwarted a late inning comeback by Texas. Houston Street back-to-back saves, and this thanks to a great defensive play by Howie Kendrick.
Well, he showed a lot of range to get it, and then the agility to make the ball go in his glove, get up quickly, and then make an accurate throw. He had time, and he took his time to make sure he made an accurate throw. And unfortunately, that ended the ball game.
No, that will do it tonight for the Rangers. They come back, but they come back a little short. 5-4 the final. Aaron Hardigan and Mark McLemore will be back to wrap things up for you right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.